Hey there, this is Matt once again. What about to another video? This is a paid request, this time from Ryan. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos or topics, commentaries, reviews, reactions, video game stuff, whatever the case may be, you can either send it to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both things are down below in the info box under most of these videos. And Ryan wanted to hear my thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Supposedly the final bit of this trilogy of movies. Now, I'll be honest, I wasn't really gung-ho in watching it. Because, for those who haven't seen the stuff I talked about before, I'm pretty tired of the superhero comic book genre. Especially of today. It's not that I dislike it. I love Superman the movie, Superman 2, yes, even Superman 3. I like Batman from 1989 and Batman Returns. Hell, I like the Flash TV show from 1990. I love The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren. I like The Punisher with Thomas Jane. I haven't liked Ang Lee's Hulk and Ben Affleck's Daredevil. There are superhero films I do enjoy. The Marvel Cinematic Universe. I enjoyed the 3 Captain America movies. The first one grew on me. The second one, Winter Soldier, I think is the best of the MCU stuff. I like Captain America Civil War. Guardians of the Galaxy 2014 I was really impressed by. Never read a single comic, did not know any of the characters. But what I always think about with that film is that came out the same year as the Michael Bay produced Ninja Turtles film, which I'm a big sucker of those characters. They're just done in such a horrible, horrendous fashion. And I was sitting there going, why do we not have the care of Guardians of the Galaxy with this movie? If the characters and the writing and the action was similar to Guardians of the Galaxy and just being a good movie, would have been a much better Ninja Turtles film. But anyway. Now, the second Guardians of the Galaxy, I didn't hate. I liked it, but I thought it was a step down. It was cool to see Kurt Russell, but I didn't like that the characters were pretty much split apart when we've just gotten them together. And I don't know, it has good moments. Michael Rooker, especially. Seeing him and Stallone again, a little bit of cliffhanger reunion. So I liked it, but just something I felt was a bit missing. And the recent spout of superhero films, not just Marvel, but DC, I mean, I did not mind the first Shazam film. I liked it for what it was. Don't care about the sequel. I enjoyed the Batman Robert Pattinson's film. I enjoyed Joker. Don't need a sequel, but they're doing it. But not a fan of Black Adam. Not a fan of Wonder Woman 1984. With Marvel, Phase 4 has been a piece of trash. Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Doctor Strange 2, The Eternals. What else was there? There was... I'm trying to look over here. My phone. Eternals. Oh, Ant-Man Quantumania. Ant-Man the Wasp. Ant-Man 3. Thor Love and Thunder. Not a fan of any of those movies. Captain Marvel. Now, I will say, I do think this film is better than those films I mentioned. Of this Phase 4, this is easily the best. The sad thing is, that's not saying much, and I still really wasn't a fan of this movie. Now, the first hour and change, I hated this film. I think the last 30 minutes are pretty decent. And help save the film a little bit. But it's weird to say disappointed because I had very, very low expectations. But it has good moments. I just don't think it's that good of a movie. But it does have good moments, which is more than I could say for a lot of the... for pretty much any of the Phase 4 Marvel stuff. Because I do like the characters. Dave Bautista's Drax, Chris Pratt, Seems like a cool guy. Like him as Star-Lord. I've grown on what's the character Nebula, which I'll be honest, I forgot her all the stuff that happened with her in Avengers Endgame. So I completely forgot how she turned from villain to ally. Completely forgot all about that. So, but I did like her. Hated what they did with Gamora. Zoe Saldana was not the problem. What they did with her though, fucking hated. Hated the character in this. Because it is a different character because she died, and then this is a younger, more angry, more... She still becomes an ally, but she just yells a lot. Just bitchy. Just bitchy, bitchy, bitchy. Because of the circumstances. It's just Sally should have just left her dead, honestly. Because I don't think... her being in this didn't really add anything to it, in my opinion. Rocket Raccoon definitely had the best part of the movie. They definitely delved into his backstory. Granted, it was predictable because as soon as you started, you know where it's going. But I thought the animation was very well done in terms of the CGI, I mean. I thought the performances, it was fairly emotional. And that stuff was, which I'll get to more in spoilers, that stuff was nicely done. It was the best part of the movie to me. And the third act, when you get a bit more into the villain known as the High Evolutionary, who's definitely a villain. It's not one of those, oh, we're so pathetic and you just misunderstood. No, he's a villain. He's a piece of shit villain. And good on it. And the actor did what he could with the role. Pretty good battle at the end. Short, but I like the choreography. It's one of those where it looks like it's all done in one take, and each of the characters get their moments to shine. And then there's another bit, even shorter, but the characters get their moment to shine there too. And I didn't mind what they did with the finale. How do I put it? It didn't go into somewhat typical tropes, which I figured they would do because so many other films did, but that's what made it kind of refreshing to me. I'll get to that more in spoilers. But yeah, I'm going to get this question a lot. Is it better than this movie? Is it better than that movie? No, this film is not one of the worst films of the year for me. No, this film... The first hour, I would say yes. But especially the last half hour, okay, I think it helped a bit. It did. But, no, it's not the top 10 worst. No, it's better than The Flash. It's better than Ant-Man 3. It's better than Thor Love and Thunder. It's better than Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. It's better than Doctor Strange 2. Better than Black Adam, in my opinion. But I thought James Gunn's previous film before this, The Suicide Squad, I thought that was much better. I would say I would put the first two Guardians of the Galaxy above this. First and foremost, I get what they're going with in the direction at the beginning of the film. Where, okay, it's alright to be a little bit darker. I can understand that. On the flip side, the tonal shifts didn't seem as natural. I wouldn't say it was a cause of whiplash, but I think sadly what happened to this film, one of the things is when Guardians of the Galaxy 1 came out, it was known as, okay, this is the hip, fun movie, while we have Iron Man and Thor, and they're doing their own thing. This is going to be something a bit different, unique. But because Guardians of the Galaxy became a little bit of a pop culture phenomenon, now everybody wanted to be Guardians light. So are Thor Ragnarok, which I'll admit, when I first saw it, I liked it. And there's parts of it I still like. But when I see what it led up to, it kind of it kind of dulls the edge of fun. I don't know how else to put a Thor Ragnarok. I don't like it as much as I used to. Because to see where Thor went to see where Hulk went to, and this was the start of it, I'm like, although I was still watching more than Thor the Dark World. Or Thor Love and Thunder. I think those are... I would rather watch Ragnarok, but I do think the first Thor's the best one. But anyway, so many films wanted to be Guardians of the Galaxy type. Can we have this type of music? Or can we have this type of humor? Sense of fun? And so it was kind of sucking away what made Guardians of the Galaxy unique. Even some of the DC films. When the first Suicide Squad movie came out, you remember the first trailer and the tone it had, and then Guardians of the Galaxy was a hit. Then they looked at, oh, well, let's change this to, this is much more fun. It's much more funny of a movie, which it wasn't. The second one was by James Gunn, but the first one wasn't. Because I don't think that's what David Ayer's, that's what he wanted. But they got re-edited and all the other stuff that happened with that first Suicide Squad movie. So my point is that because of that, I think James Gunn kind of said, okay, I have to take these a little bit more serious, which I appreciate, but it becomes this kind of back and forth, not so much a tennis game, not so much a ping pong game, but kind of just this tug of war. And the thing is like, okay, a good chunk of the movie is Star-Lord being mopey. Being mopey Mopperton. Rocket, he's in it for a bit, then he gets hurt really, really badly. He's out for the count for most of the film. And you just see bits of him in flashback. Gamora, because it's a new, younger Gamora who did not know the Guardians of the Galaxy, didn't have a relationship with Star-Lord. She's much more angry, she's much more confrontational, she's much more bitchy. And then when there's jokes, the jokes aren't really that funny. I got a few chuckles from Bautista. He has some funny lines in it, but Mantis, I've never liked Mantis. I never liked the character. I think she's fucking annoying. She's fucking irritating. I wish her tater had been shot in the head. Sorry, getting the soda. I would rather... I do wish her character... Not the person, the character. I never liked this character, Mantis. She's not funny. She's irritating. She looks goofy. Not a fan of her. You gonna die? Because there's a joke where Star-Lord is talking about how maybe, you know, he has a grandfather back home and he's 9, he's probably dead. People die at that age? Well, you know, some people die at 50. You gonna die? I'm not 50. Like, that's the whole conversation. There's another conversation where they're talking, and the joke is that, by the way, the radio's on so everybody can hear you. Wait, I pushed the blue button. Well, the blue means the black button, and the black means the green button, and the green button means the blue button, and... Like, that's the humor and jokes you get in the first hour. I just didn't think it was that funny. James Gunn puts his brother Sean Gunn, who was in the previous films. He was with Michael Rooker's character, but now he kind of has Michael Rooker's weapon since that character passed away in the previous film. James Gunn, I'm glad you get your brother work, but I don't give a shit about your brother's character, Sean Gunn. I don't give a shit about his character as arc of trying to control this weapon, which eventually he does. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Cosmo, the Russian space dog, I don't give a shit. And the running bit of Sean Gunn called her a bad dog and she won't let it go. I'm a good dog. No, you gotta say I'm a good dog. No, because she's a bad dog. And there's like a little cameo of Howard the Duck and they're playing cards. Don't give a fuck. Fuck the dog. It's not Air Bud, ain't K9, ain't turning fucking hooch. I don't give a shit. Sorry, don't care. And I know that these films are known for their soundtracks and the music, so it's not surprised when that happens. This felt like it went overboard with it. This felt like every fucking 90 seconds there was another song. Here's Radiohead's Creep. Here's Crazy on You by Heart. Here's Space Hogs In the Meantime. The one that got me was there's a point where they go, because, okay, I know I'm like 15 minutes in, I haven't gotten to the story. The Guardians of the Galaxy are hanging out, and Rocket is thinking of something. We find out, of course, later what it is. And Adam Warlock, he comes jettisoning in, fights the Guardians. Star-Lord Peter Quill's a bit drunk, so he's not too effective. Drax puts a couple punches in, but ultimately Nebula is able to go up and stab him, which I thought it would take more to take down Adam Warlock. He's not down for the count, but he's down for a little bit. But during the fight, Rocket, the raccoon, has been hurt very badly. And there's some type of kill switch in there, so they can't do surgery, they can't heal him. He's got 48 hours to live. Thank God it wasn't 4 minutes or 4 hours to live, or they'd be fucked. But thank God it was 48 hours. Not the Eddie Murphy movie. So, what do we need to do? We need to go to this place to try to get this code. Of course, they go there, and it's not there. So it was pretty much a pointless trip. Waste of like 25 minutes of the movie. They had to go to this other place, and it's among this guy named the High Evolutionary, a guy with a god complex. I know, not the most original, but he is a villain. You definitely hate his character, and throughout the film, what sometimes felt like we're within the story, then boom, we're right into a Rocket flashback. And yes, they're predictable, you know where it's going, but it was nice to see, and you definitely get the feels of Rocket Raccoon. He was a regular raccoon, he was experimented on, he became smarter, he met these three other animals. One was an otter, one was, I believe, a walrus, and one was a rabbit. And they got mechanized stuff on them from experimentations, and you see them becoming friends. So they see a young Rocket Raccoon and be friendly with these three, and again, the CGI was fairly good, and I grew to like the characters, just by how innocent and sweet they were. Again, it doesn't take a rocket science to know where this is heading, but it was still nice to see. Until ultimately, they're able to get to the High Evolutionary, to get this code, and it's among this place called Counter Earth. Because what the High Evolutionary wants is a perfect species. He liked Earth and their way of art and entertainment and all that other stuff, so he wanted to create like a species with no violence, so he used animals, and in order to make them peaceful and pretty much anthropomorphic animals on our Earth, but it's a different Earth, thus called Counter Earth. And I was talking about the song. When they arrive there, it's Faith No More's We Care a Lot, which I always think of as the theme song from Dirty Jobs or Micro. It's a dirty job, but someone's gotta do it. Whoa, 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 it's a dirty job, but so... How the hell does that fit with them entering this Counter Earth where there's a fucking panda guy mowing the lawn and whatever the hell else is going on? Like a furry's wet dream. Nothing against furries. Me, I mean, well, I guess if you called the beard furry, I like Ninja Turtles, I guess, but it's a furry's wet dream. And again, by the time we get to that point, it's been like an hour and change in the movie. And I'm sitting there going, like, this is your big finale to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? Like, this is your big finale. Like, the characters that had a lot of potential, and you're wondering where it's going to go, and how it's going to go, and what's going to happen. Like, this is what we're doing? You know, in a weird way, it's kind of like, I liked Return of the Jedi. But maybe this is how some people felt about Return of the Jedi. You know, they looked at that film, they go, really? The Ewoks? And this is where the trilogy went? I mean, I liked the film. Like it more than this. I liked the Jabba the Hutt, the whole sequence at the beginning. I liked the lightsaber battle between him and Darth Vader. The speeder bike chase sequence. The music. Especially that kind of chorus music during the lightsaber battle. There's a lot of stuff I like about, but does it have its flaws? Yes. But maybe how some people feel about that is how I feel about this movie. I don't know. So the get more into spoilers, going a bit back. Creep by Radiohead, you know, it's a song I don't mind. I don't love it, but I don't mind it. Like I said, don't like Mantis. Don't like the character. Star-Lord, I will say his character is more competent in this movie. He does feel much more like a hero in this movie. He does seem a bit more, I mean, he's still got the humor, but he's still a bit more capable. If you're thinking there's going to be any kind of thought process on, wait a minute, you helped cause the snap because of your stupidity, because of your... I get it that you find out the woman you love died, but at the same time you fucked up and Thanos was able to get loose while they're ready to get the thing off, and then he escapes and then does the snap on Earth. And you cause the disappearance death of half the universe, half the galaxy, how you want to put it, the universe. If you think there's going to be any type of talk, dialogue, thought process coming to terms with that, no. Completely swept under the rug. He's just sad that he's not with Gamora, and, you know, this is a different Gamora. That's it. So I thought that was really lame, that's never brought up, that's never thought about, that's never talked about. Let's just sweep that under the rug as if that never happened. For your final part of this trilogy, I thought that was really lame and piss poor in terms of writing. Sorry, James Gunn. I like the Dawn of the Dead remake you wrote. I said I like the Suicide Squad movie you made. This, though... And then Adam Warlock. Why the fuck was he in this movie? He just came off as a unfunny mama's boy. He was just an unfunny mama's boy. He goes in, and yeah, he could tackle on some of the Guardians, but then he's talking to his mom and complaining to his mom about stuff, and they try to force him into this just unfunny pieces of humor. And just... he came off as a joke. See, I'm allergic to the bullshit. Just think about Adam Warlock. Just gave me allergies. Excuse me. It was just a fucking joke. Just a fucking joke. And you could have easily taken his character out of the movie. It would not have done a damn thing of difference. I mean, you could have had some random bad guy, some random battle, some random thing happening, and either it's Rocket thinking about his past, or something else happens, and he gets hit, and then boom, you go on. It's like, well, we gotta have Adam Warlock somewhere in here. Okay, but I'm not a aficionado of Adam Warlock, but I would think the little bits I've heard of the character, that if you're a fan of the character, you'd be pissed off. Just lo and behold, we have to have another character be a fucking joke. And not a funny joke either. So again, Rocket during the battle, again, Star-Lord's too drunk because he's too fucking mopey. Bautista gets a few punches in, but then he gets punched up. Nebula stabs him in the back, which seemed pretty easy, but they mentioned that Adam Warlock is young. They mentioned Adam Warlock was released too soon out of his tube, so I guess that's to explain why he's not 100%. And they say it cuts from flashbacks to Batch 89 and these 3 otter rabid walrus with Rocket. And spoiler alert, although it's not a spoiler, you know these terrors are going to die. You know what's going to happen. You know that, okay, we're getting, it's weird to say didn't know, but we're spending some time as they're becoming friendly and they get their names and they name themselves. And the High Evolutionary is realizing that Rocket is a lot smarter than he thought he would be, even smarter than him. He takes a bit of offense to that. You know what's going to happen. He's going to get fucked over, and then they're all going to die, but he's going to escape. Obviously escape because he's here, and there you go. So, like I said, it's predictable, but still, I do like the scenes. Now, what made it interesting was that if one of them was a betrayer, like if one of them was undercover the whole time and pretend to be his friend, and that's why he's unsure of, that's why he distrusts people, or not just people, distrusts others, because of what happened, because at least one of them maybe, but no, that doesn't happen. So while that's going on, and again, this soundtrack is more like we have to instead of we need to. Well, we gotta force as many songs in here because it's Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what it's known for. And a little would have gone a long way. And again, some of the song choices, I just go, why that one? And why that one? It's not like they're all bad songs. It's just more like, really? Can you calm down a bit? Or maybe just so many other films have stolen that gimmick. It's just gotten old since the almost 10 years since the first one came out. Since the first one was 2014. So, almost 10 years, yeah. So they're on their journey to find this code, and they meet up with the Ravagers. Sylvester Stallone is back in a cameo. He's in it for maybe a minute or so. Nice to see Stallone there. I actually would not have minded seeing more, because Stallone in this universe would actually be interesting. But I mean, he's in it. Just so that Gamora can pretty much say, fine, I'll go with them, and fine, I'll help them. I don't know why, because she just bitches and complains the whole time. So I still don't know why she goes with them. I mean, should have just left her for dead. Or, yeah, should have just left her for dead. You did not need Gamora in this fucking movie. You did not need Adam Warlock in this movie. You did not need Gamora in this movie. Just not even the same Gamora. That Gamora died. Nothing comes of it. Pretty much, Star-Lord comes to terms that this is a different Gamora. Goodbye. Adios, muchacho. That's it. I guess because they wanted Zoe Saldana to live somehow. Which, well, whatever. And again, just the humor just didn't work, whether it be the Cosmo the dog bit or the, hey, the radio's open so we can all hear it bit. And they get to this place, and it's like a weird place where Nathan Fillion, always nice to see him in there, which I think if Guardians of the Galaxy was made a few years before, Nathan Fillion probably would have played the Chris Pratt role. And it's a shame Nathan Fillion never really got that chance. Of course, Nathan Fillion was in Slither, James Gunn film, and sadly he couldn't get like a big franchise role. Nathan Fillion seems like the guy very capable to do it, but bad timing, bad luck, whatever the hell the case. So it's always nice to see him in there. And Dave Bautista did get some funny bits where they're trying to pretend that we're with you guys and we didn't just hop down there from a ship. We've been here the whole time. And Nathan Fillion and his men are wearing these weird flesh-like suits, like big, bulky, flesh-type suits. And Nathan Fillion, Chris Pratt, oh yeah, dumb guy, yeah, I got one too. Is like talk about Drax, and then yeah, I got one too. So I kind of like the little banter, sadly too short. And one of the funny lines from Dave Bautista is like, "Are we pretending to be angry? Mantis, you an asshole! Mantis, you asshole!" I did laugh at that, I will admit. But the whole scene just became pointless. Like, they went in, and then they separate, and then they find out, you know, the people there find out you're not who you really are. Star-Lord cons his way into the controls, so everything goes topsy-turvy. They get a little bit of info, they get the hell out of there, because Groot pilots the ship. And like the first hour, Groot doesn't do a damn thing other than what I just said. So that's for me, like the first hour is just Groot barely does anything, Star-Lord is mopey, and finally does something there at Conan, in this place that he really didn't have to go to in the first place. Other than get a little bit of information. Again, Gamora's bitchy. Mantis is annoying. Nebula grew on me. Because, you know, she was a villain in the first movie, so. So I'm just hating this. I'm like, this just sucks. I thought it was rather dull. I thought it was boring. I didn't think it was that funny. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Where is this movie going? Gamora just yelling a lot. Warlock, Adam Warlock's just a dumb, idiot mama's boy. Like, there's a scene where after the Guardians leave, Adam Warlock and his mommy get there to interrogate someone. Here's Nathan Fillion, here's another guy. They interrogate the other guy, and she goes to Warlock, tell him how we mean business. So Adam Warlock just kills the guy. What are you doing? Well, because he's pretty much a child, he acts like a kid. He hasn't been born for too long. So one release, and that's where the Guardians get to counter Earth. Again, where you get the theme from Dirty Jobs from Mike Rowe. I know that song's been in other stuff, and it was well before, but I think it's the Dirty Jobs Mike Rowe. Is Mike Rowe going to come in to teach us about how this job here, about sewer inspectors or chick sexers? We got to check the sex of the chick. Not that kind of chick, like the little chickens chick. Although if there's chicks that, you know, want me to check their sex, come on by. We'll make a day of it. With some Skittles. How many can you fit in there? Can you shoot them out with a ping pong ball? It's one of those things where I'm sitting there and going, why this song? It just seemed random. Like it was just on the playlist. Shit, I don't know where to put this song. We'll put it there. We gotta have a song when they arrive. No, you don't. So it's like Earth, except there's anthropomorphic animals. The one other little joke I liked, as lame as it may be to some people, is Nebula can't understand how opening a regular car door And okay, press on the lock, and she's pressing it, but she's actually pressing on the keyhole. No, press on that. Okay, then what do I do? And then Chris Pratt goes, now open the fucking door. I did like that. I did laugh. And Chris Pratt does have charm to him. He is a charming guy. And while they're there, Nebula waits outside. Groot and Chris Pratt go in. And when they go in, it's pretty cool. Like Chris Pratt, the way he talks to High Evolutionary, it seems like this guy has grown from the first movie. And he came up with a plan, and him and Groot get guns out, and they start kicking ass, taking names to save their friend, to get the code they need. But then something goes wrong, and the High Evolutionary says, yep, you know what, this plan's a wash. You know what, I did fail. Because there's violence on here, and I want a perfect race, because I have a god complex. So I'm just going to destroy the fucking planet. And he does. And you get the escape. I do like the bit where Chris Pratt and Groot take this asshole scientist guy, and they push him out the window, and Groot grows some wings from his roots, and they slide down, and Chris Pratt kind of slams the guy into the ground and kills his sorry ass and gets the shit out of his head. I did like that. It felt like Star-Lord was taking initiative. While that's happening, Gamora came in on the ship to grab them, while Nebula, Drax, and Mantis went on to the bad guy ship, thinking they're going to get Chris Pratt and them, but not realizing they had already left. And they find a bunch of children on there. Because apparently the bad guy, they wiped out this planet, but they took the children to, I guess, rebuild. But pretty much they are going to help the kids. Now, I did like that Bautista, he didn't feel useless in this movie. That's what I mean by the third act of the film, I'm starting to not mind it as much. Drax, yeah, he's talking goofy with the kids, but it didn't bother me because we know that he used to be a father. I think they could have gone even more into that, where he's remembering his kids. And even if it's like maybe get some flashbacks out of him or something, like what he would do with his kids, but he's able to connect with these kids and talk with these kids and make them understand so that they're not afraid of them. Chris Pratt and them are able to fix and save Rocket. Rocket has a near-death experience, and not a bad scene where Rocket says hi and goodbye to his lost friends. And then by the third act, they get back together. They go into battle, all to the tune of No Sleep Till Brooklyn. Now, I like the song. I liked it in Steven Seagal's Out for Justice. I think he was in that film. I like it better here than in the 2016 Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows trailer. They had that song. Granted, it felt okay. We just... it still kind of feels like a random song to put in there. Like, what the fuck does Brooklyn have to do with this? What the fuck does New York have to do with this? It still felt like, what's the song on the playlist? Pick that one, and, I mean, if you don't have a song in there, I'm surprised it wasn't something more like, I don't know, all these songs would probably be typical to people, but whether it be Guns N' Roses' Welcome to the Jungle, or I don't know what song to pick on there. The Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue or something like that. I don't know. But it's not a bad song, at least. And that's where you get the best action scene in the movie. And that's the thing, is that for a finale, This is really the only good action scene in the film. Really. I mean, okay, maybe I could say the bit with Groot and Chris Pratt shooting the bad guys a bit, and Groot has all these guns he hid inside him. Didn't mind that moment. And there's a third one after it. It's a short scene, but I don't mind as well. So maybe I'll take that back a bit, but it's just... It's not a lot of action memorable other than really this one scene where they're all to that song kicking these bad guys' ass, and it's all looking like in one take, each getting their moments to shine. Rocket Raccoon gets his guns again and he's shooting. Star-Lord is able to put all these things on there and then click, and they all get... bad guys get electrocuted, and Drat's showing a bit of his power and strength. I like that. I like that scene. They were, again, spoiler, they were able to save the kids. Where's Rocket? Rocket went back to save the animals, including other little baby raccoons, to say that that's where he came from. I will admit, when the animals started coming out of the ship, for some reason, it made me think of that scene in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, when Pee-wee just kept coming back and getting all the animals out. Except the snakes. He had to save the snakes for last. But it was always kind of like, okay, is this definitely one of the animal activist movie? But at least it's within the story of, Rocket being an animal himself, and he doesn't know what a raccoon is, and then when he comes by, he looks over and he sees the word raccoon on it, so that Rocket, I guess, had come from Earth, and he was tested in this way. And then they each get their moments to fuck up the bad guy, which for some reason Rocket Raccoon lets him live. I forget the reason they said. I really do forget the reason they fucking said it, but I thought it was a really lame excuse. They should have just shot the motherfucker in the head. And then they have this scene that just... That's another thing. I know some people were mad that... No, they did not kill anybody off. And there's some people that view that as cowardly. They took the chicken way out. They took the comfy way out. They didn't kill anybody off. And at times, you think like it's going to happen, whether it be the near-death experience with Rocket Raccoon or some of this other stuff. You think they're going to do with Star-Lord, which, well, you wouldn't think good. And even while you watch the film, you probably don't think it, but... There's a bit that Star-Lord went back to save this little item for Rocky, which, I don't know, pretty stupid of him to do, but whatever. It's done just so that we can have a scene where he's trying to get by, he gets stopped by debris, he gets frozen, they're screaming, and here comes Adam Warlock, who earlier in the film Groot had saved because he was taken by the High Evolutionary at one point and let him go. And something to the effect of believe everyone deserves a second chance. Which is a stupid fucking thing to say, because that scientist guy didn't get a second chance. I mean, he didn't deserve it, but when Star-Lord and Groot, you both pushed this motherfucker out the goddamn window. See, that's the thing that was a bit weird. Groot saved Adam Warlock, which he's the reason why Rocket is knocking on heaven's door. At least he was. At one point he was. But you save him. But the one scientist with the stuff on the side of his head, you're fine with Star-Lord, you two jumping out the window and making sure to land on the ground with that guy at the bottom so he's dead as fuck. I'm like, So which is it? You don't want to give that guy a second chance, but our Warlock, who also tried to kill your friend, he doesn't get a second chance. I mean, he gets a second chance, but this guy doesn't get a second chance. But then this guy... It's like they didn't remember what the fuck they did, an hour ago. And listen, did this movie need to be 2.5 fucking hours long? It did not. I'm tired of these movies being 2.5 hours long. Find an editor, for goddamn sake, man. And I'm one to talk. This is a long-ass review, so I'm no better. Find an editor for these videos. Find an editor for these fucking movies nowadays. But it's gotta be longer reviews because it's longer fucking movies. More to talk about. So they don't want to give the scientist, he doesn't deserve a second, but they didn't give him a second chance, but they gave Adam Warlock a second chance. So that he could be, oh, you know what, maybe he's right, and he saves Chris Pratt. Even though Chris Pratt was frozen in space, his fucking face ballooned up, almost like it was Total Recall, with how the fucking eyes ballooned out. Here's like the almost head, ready to go to explode like Scanner style. Surprised his fucking brain didn't explode or something. And when bring him back, oh, he's a little bit maimed on the face, but he's like, did that look cool? I mean, how the fuck are you alive? Granted, to be fair, this is not the first time this has happened. But there's been a lot of close calls that would they be alive? I get that. I get it. But you know what? If it was done before, you thought it was stupid, don't keep making the same mistakes. And I don't know. So for again, I still don't get why they let High Evolutionary go to be alive. They should have shot him in the face. There was no reason to keep him alive. Because they're willing to kill other people, perfectly fine and dandy. It's like they pick and choose whenever the plot's convenient. And then, as the movie ends... Well, I meant earlier, much earlier, when... I'm actually fine they didn't kill anybody off, because to me that would have been the typical route. It would have been the typical route that you just assume someone's going to die, someone's going to get killed off, because it's their way of gaining some kind of... What's the phrase I'm thinking of? Emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation. How do we make something seem much more significant? Take a character that people like and kill them off. Whether it be Captain Kirk to start your generations, whether it be everybody pretty much dying in Alien 3, whether it be Wolverine dying at the end of Logan, and Patrick Stewart dying before the third act of Logan. And so on and so on and so forth. Matrix Revolutions, the third film, they kill off Carrie-Anne Moss's character. And technically Keanu Reeves' character. It just seemed like a typical thing that happens. So, as some people say is cowardly, to me it was a bit refreshing. You expect it to happen, but it doesn't. Hell, Avengers Endgame, you had, Infinity War, you had Black Widow die, you had Gamora die, you had Loki die, Endgame. But then in Endgame, it's like, well, Gamora's bad, it's just a different Gamora. Loki's bad, but it's just a different Loki. So you say that's a bit more cowardly to do it that way. But even Endgame, Iron Man dies. To me, I think you expect it, so because you expected, the fact that they went a different route to me seemed much more surprising, seemed much more refreshing to me, at least. That's just me, though. I mean, I would have been fine if they killed Mantis off. I would have been fine if they killed, again, the second Gamora off, but... So, what happens with the Guardians? Pretty much, they're successful in saving all these kids. Nebula, which again, I don't remember much of her in Endgame, so about her whole arc, change of character, I don't remember much of. But now she's like, need to take care of these kids and need some help, and hey, Drax, you can help. So Bautista's going to help Nebula take care of the kids. Chris Pratt is going to go home to Earth to see his, I guess, 90-year-old grandfather, which, okay, great. He'll go back and the guy will probably die in 5 days. And then what? Gamora went back to the Ravagers and Sylvester Stallone's team. Mantis, I forgot where the fuck she went to. I don't remember where Mantis went to, honestly. She went somewhere. I don't give a shit. And then Rocket Raccoon is going to lead the new Guardians of the Galaxy. And this team seems like shit. Like, it's him and Groot, Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, Cosmo the Russian space dog, Adam Warlock now is part of the group, and this little girl who's one of the kids, but I guess there's something more to her. Just seems like a shit team for Guardians of the Galaxy. A shit team. Other than Rocket. Oh, Groot finally says a line that's not, I am Groot. Although it's weird to see, you know, I love you guys. I don't know why, something about that sounded weird. Maybe I love you all or something. I don't know. But that's how it ends. And it's kind of one of those, that's it? Is that all? That's it? You know? I think what it is maybe expectations of not going to this movie, but just of the first movie. Looking back on the first movie, 2014 felt like such a fresh group of characters, and man, the sky's the limit on what they could do with these characters. It felt like the sky was the limit. And you see what they've done with the characters, and to me, they let them down. They, being Marvel, take some of the blame on to James Gunn as well. Because you go to a second film where they're separated for a while, and they're not really together much, and yeah, a little bit with Kurt Russell, but yeah. And then they're kind of forced into Infinity War Endgame, where they're very, very much in the background. Hell, by Endgame, most of them are gone, except Rocket. Then they're kind of just forced to a lame cameo in Thor Love and Thunder, where they're just putting up with Thor's dumb bullshit. I didn't see that Christmas special where it's just the big thing is Kevin Bacon's in it, playing Kevin Bacon, because Star-Lord referenced Footloose. And whatever the fuck. So, like, all this seeming potential of the Guardians of the Galaxy, protecting the galaxy, protecting the universe, what they could do, all the adventures they would go on, and this is it. You know, again, a movie where the first half is a mopey Peter Quill, Rocket out of action, Groot doing nothing, Gamora not the same Gamora, and then this Gamora just being a bitchy yeller. And save the animals, save the kids. What was it, fucking Super Metroid? Save the animals. And like I said, the performances for the most part aren't bad. Like I said, the backstory of Rocket was emotional. It may be predictable, but I thought it was fairly well done. The action scene that I mentioned with the No Sleep Till Brooklyn, cool. I'm sure by this point you can watch it on YouTube. You just watch it there. I'm glad they didn't, the people I like, they didn't kill off because that's such a typical trope. I'm glad they were able to actually hold off on that. But it's just, would I ever watch this again? No. It's too long. Even if I did, I would skip the first hour, because the first hour, other than, oh, cool to see Nathan Fillion. Oh, cool to see Stallone for a minute. I just skip the hour and then just, or hour and a half, really. As it has a couple of good scenes, it's just overdone on the music. Just not a fan of the movie. Not the worst of the year, not by far, but it's the best Phase 4 Marvel film, and that's sad because if this is the best, then no wonder 2023 is such a shitty year for movies. You get an awful Indiana Jones film, an awful Flash film, in my opinion, an awful Ninja Turtles film, a disappointing John Wick film, and not just because of the ending. Although I maintain that, whatever. I know people disagree with that, oh well. I'm sure a Dodge Expendables film that's coming up, because they'll die when they're dead. No shit. And now I know people love it. People love it. 10 out of 10 IGN. I know. I don't know what rating I would give. Maybe a 2 out of 5 stars. If I had to force a star rating, like a 2 out of 5 stars. I mean, 2.5, half would be pushing it. Maybe for the third act, but just, I don't know, man. A lot of issues, a lot of problems. Side missions that went nowhere. Most of the humor didn't work for me. A couple from Bautista and a little few from Chris Pratt. That's it. And it did leave that feeling of, this is it, huh? That's it. And Warlock being a fucking dumb mama's boy joke. There's a lot of issues. Rather much watch the Suicide Squad, which not all the jokes worked in that movie, but that movie felt much more consistently entertaining and satisfying. With Idris Elba and Sylvester Stallone as the voice of Teen Shark and all that stuff. So, with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.